All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we're going to be checking out some games on the sim. Pretty chill video lined up. We got 4 games on the sim featuring 3 different leaders. First up is going to be Hannyabal, like you see on the screen here. Second up is going to be 2 games of red-green Trafalgar Law using a really cool new card we'll talk about when we get to it from OP-07. And then lastly, we're going to be looking at a game of black-green Perona. Black-green Perona is starting to show up on the sim, starting to catch a little bit of traction over in the East. We'll talk about that deck as we get to it. So you know what you're getting into. Oh, and at the very end of the video, of course, we'll go over the deck lists that I'm using in the video. So you know what you're getting into. Let's go ahead and hop straight into it, guys. I do love going over these games. And hopefully soon, while I turn the volume off here and turn the speed up, hopefully soon they're going to be, giving us some more games from the East. We haven't seen any major tournament from the East yet. So it's hard to say what's winning and what's not. But, hopefully in time. All right, so here we go, guys. This game is starting. Hannyabal, I'm using a full-on Impel Down engine with a little bit of support from the 9-cost Kaido, because that's just a nice, I've got Magellan in here, I've got the Emporio Ivankov, and I've got the Kaido. In theory, the list does curve out very well, in theory. But that's, it's not perfect. It's not perfect by any means, and it still needs a lot of work. And if you guys have any, just like with everything, guys, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. This leader, I think, needs a little more Impel Down support. I think it needs another card like Sadie. So let me explain real quick what the leader does. The leader has, at the end of your turn, return a 2-cost or higher Impel Down character to your hand, and then you can ramp a Dawn for the turn. And notice the Dawn does come in active, so if you have like a Blast Breath or something to combo with, that works out nicely. So he's going to swing 7,000, 8,000. He completely telegraphed his move for me, so I'm just going to counter out of the one that I know I can counter out of, and then go from there. That's why it's very important to not just, add your Dawn like this, because you're telling your opponent, hey, here's what I'm going to do, so go ahead and make the best decision based on that. It's just not the best idea. Okay, so right here, I want to see if I can get this guy off the board for free. If not, I'm going to have to use some kind of, interaction to do so. So I'm going to swing, I think I swing 6 into it first and then go from there. So I swing 6 into the Cracker, and he just lets it go. So I'm like, okay, in that case, I'm going to swing 5 at you with a banished character. That Minnow Zebra, that is a banished character, guys. So he did not get his free Brûlée trigger. And then I play out Magellan, and I pass turn. I do not return a card back. Oh, excuse me, I'm not even done my turn. My bad. So I play out the Magellan. I think I return it back to my hand. Yeah, I return the card back to my hand to ramp my Dawn right back. So I'm still right on track to go into Kaido next turn. And it's a good thing I did that, because notice what he plays this turn. That's right, that is a Krieg. So that card can KO up to 2 4-cost or lower rested characters in play by trashing a card. He gets rid of my Zebra. And, okay, so right here, I'm like, okay, I have 10 Dawn, so I might as well swing for the proper amount. Swing 6, see what he gives me, see if I can get a 2K counter from his hand. Honestly, I think he probably should have taken this aggressively, just in case I am able to drop Kaido. But who knows? I don't think anyone's playing with a list quite like what I'm running here. I just made it up, at the time of me making this video. So I trashed the Magellan. In this deck, I actually use Magellan simply to make my opponent go backwards and Dawn. Because then I just return the Magellan back to my hand that turn. And get my Dawn right back, active. Now, I could leave it on the board and return another card, but you saw I just trashed it with my stage there to do a top 3 search. He smashes into Kaido, that's fine. I wanted to stay a little bit higher in health, because you never know what his last trigger is. But right here, I'm trying to do a little bit of math in my head. This is my first time playing the deck. Yesterday when I made this video, I think it was my very first time ever playing the deck. So right here, I'm going to swing 5 to see if he gets any kind of special trigger. He didn't even, he just counters out of the attack. So I play out Emporio Ivankov, which allows me to play out a 6-cost Impel Down character from my hand. And it was the Luffy. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't draw any cards from Ivankov the way that I did that, but, it is what it is. I need to establish a board or I'm in trouble. Okay, so I bounce his blocker by using the Luffy's effect, swinging for 9. Crazy interaction happens there. Hang on one second, guys. So we got a rules explanation needed for what just happened there. I attacked into him for 9,000 power double attack. He only had 1 life left. However, he got a 200 million volts Amaru from his life. 200 million volts Amaru is not the same as an L's effect. Just to give you guys a heads up, it's not the same. Okay, so in other words, when damage is dealt, it's trying to deal damage, you know, as soon as you can. But here's the thing. I'm sorry, I'm kind of clumsy with the wording here. But essentially, Enel's effect takes place after damage is done, whereas triggers happen immediately, right? So what ends up happening is, okay, when you deal 2 damage to someone, right? Let's just say they have 4 cards in hand, or excuse me, 4 cards in life, and you deal double attack. So you do double damage or double attack damage to them. It will take the first life and it'll check that trigger. That trigger will resolve first, and then it'll check the next card for a trigger, and then if that's a trigger as well, then that will resolve. In the case of 200 million volts of Maru, it's a very, you know, I think it's the same thing as a Kaku Sovereignty, but it's a very specific case where, okay, you trigger a card, and this was his last life card, by the way. He triggered his 200 million volts of Maru, and he put a card back into his life. Well, now my double attack is checking for an additional point of damage, and it's going to be able to get through that last line there. So realistically, he should not have actually done that trigger, right? I mean, I guess it did give him a brulee, technically speaking, but I think you guys see what I'm saying. He could have just ate that attack and then tried to get through these other 2. But either way, it was 2 more attacks coming in for bare minimum, you know, 7K, and probably like the rest on my main guy. You guys get the point. But very interesting rules interaction there. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions, or if I messed something up, please help me out down in the comment section below, or I'll try to help out if anyone needs help there. So that double attack basically just blasted me through a 200 million volts of Maru, and now he is in a world of trouble, and that's game. So I swing for 9 at him here. You know, swinging for 9 is hard to get out of with just 4 cards, and he wasn't even close without having 2 Dawn you know, active for his Punk Gibson. So good stuff there. Excuse me. When that interaction happened, I did have to look it up because I'd never had that specific interaction with 200 million volts being my being my opponent's last card in life. Him using it counter, you know, by going through a double attack. Yeah, it was very, very technical. Hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions, like I said, say something in the comment section below. Okay, next up, whoops, I did it out of order. Next up is Red Green Law versus the new ST14 Luffy. So a little bit of spoiler warning, guys. If you've been following my videos for a while now, or my channel for a while, you know I do have a lot of spoilers. So real quick, this card here that I just got, that is a 1-cost, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter Zoro. That is a Supernova and Straw Hat searchable card. And it is a, when attacking, if you have 3 or more characters on the field, he gets plus 2,000 power when attacking. So that card was basically built for this deck. Right, it's literally built for Red Green Law, because it is a Straw Hat and Supernova searchable card, so you can get it with Nami or Bonnie, and whenever you attack, it gets plus 2,000 power for the turn. So you can combo with your restand laws to do damage, right? Just keep going in. So right here, I'm trying to figure it out. Let me make sure. Did I put on 2x speed? Sorry, guys. I always forget. Yep. Always got to make sure just to save time. And this guy, I think I just overwhelm him, and then I start realizing that, you know, this deck is just an absolute beater of a deck. So I swung for 6, then I swung for 8 with him. And that's a 1-cost card with a 1k counter, by the way, guys. Searchable by both of your searchers. Well, 2 out of 3 searchers. You know, the Dan's a little different. I get a 1-cost red character. And then swing for 7, my leader. I've got a 6k on the board. I've got a Zoro in hand. I've got plenty of 2k power and a Rad Beam in hand. I'm at 4 life. He just had to commit a 6,000 power attack into my guy. And watch this, guys. I'm like, you know what? This game's just over next turn. I just counter out of this. I counter a 6 into a 2 like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna win the game next turn. So why even worry about it? Or I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to win the game this turn. So right here, I swing for 5 with him. Attach 1, swing for 5. A 1-cost character that you only have to attach 1 to swing for 5 seems good. Play out Zoro. I haven't played Law in a long time, and I never really played it all that much. They're not really my colors. So I'm just attacking. Swing 6. If he had gotten some kind of trigger to KO one of my characters, I'd been in trouble there. But took the gamble. So now I'm going to bounce back my, I think I'm going to bounce back my Nami. Yeah, bounce back one of my little dudes to play out. Because I have to bounce back a red character to get a green one. Then play out the Nami again. And pass turn. So yet again, I have a blocker for my guy. He has to take out that card in case I have another stand-up Law. Right, and I could just play stand-up Law next turn if I need to. So let me pause real quick. He just gave up. So here's the problem with this new mono black Luffy deck. If you don't have an 8-cost character in play, or like something that gets your characters to 8 very quickly, you've just got a bunch of dead cards in hand. And he was on a 9 Dawn turn this turn, and look at this. This card on the screen here. Again, spoiler warning, but this is a pay 2, give your leader up to one of your characters plus 3,000 power for the turn. Then if you have an 8 cost or greater character in play, KO up to one of your opponent's cost 2 or less characters. He can't target anything on my board because he doesn't have an 8 cost character. That's the issue. So, and he's on a 9 Dawn turn. So if he goes to play out one of those 8 cost characters, now he can't play that card to remove my character. So this turn would basically look like, you know, swing 5 into my guy, I'll just block out with Trafalgar Law, and then swing 7 into one of them, that one I'll actually just let him have whatever it is, and then he doesn't want to use his blocker. You know, he's in such a bad position. Okay, let's go on to the next one here. Next one we got Red-Green Law versus Black-Yellow Luffy. And guys, right here, I just determined, you know what? Let's see how aggressive we can get with this deck. You know, with Red-Green Law here. I play out Nami. I get my 1 cost Zoro. That makes me very happy. That's exactly what I wanted. And now I know Luffy doesn't really run removal. Like, there is the 4 cost or the 5 cost Luffy that can KO a 4 or less, but he probably, you know, that'll be his whole turn basically. I don't know how to say it. Nami search. So I did a Dan to grab Nami, did a Nami to grab a Zoro. I have a full board on turn 2, and guys, I'm about to put the heat on him. You know, this next one here. Right here, I take this because I want to go down to 2 life to turn on my Radical Beam. And right here, it's like, hey, let's see how this guy likes this. Let's see how this guy likes this new version of the deck. We'll swing 5. He's like, oh, cool, I'll take that because Luffy wants to take, right? Luffy wants to take life, get down to 0 as soon as possible, so he can start using his leader's effect. So swing 5. Okay, well, let me do this first. I want to see what happens here. I probably could have swung with the character first. I don't think it matters all too much, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm still this new Zoro interaction with the Trafalgar Laws. I was trying to figure things out in my head. It was a little bit difficult. So he starts realizing, like, okay, that's what it was. I wanted to see if he was going to let me just go all in on a character here, because okay, he goes down to 0 life. I'm like, all right, well, time to return a Nami back to my hand or a Dadan. Grab back to Dan, restand this guy, and now I'm coming in for 9, and he's a 5,000 power leader. Because remember, this is turn 3, right? This is turn. I think it's turn 3 for me. Yeah, 6 Dawn turn. So now he's going to his turn 4 because he went first. Excuse me, and he's going to gain some life here. Play out Ace, play out Luffy. He's at 9,000 power. Okay, you can have that 7,000 into 2. You can have that 8 into 2. I'm not too worried about that, and I'll take this hit. Well, right here, I've got bad news for him. He doesn't have a blocker. So I'm just going to go 14 into 9. And that's game. Like, because remember, he had to counter out aggressively just to survive that following turn where I swung 9 into a 5 leader with no life. And then, okay, this turn, I'm just going to go 14 into you. You know what I mean? 14 into 9, like I said. And that's game. So very, very aggressive Law list. Big fan. This deck was a lot of fun to play. Okay, last but not least, guys, we got Black-Green Perona here. If you have not seen this deck from OP-07, it's popping up all over the place in, you know, in tournaments in the East right now, or in, like, play testing in the East. I think people are starting to think that this is, like, a top tier, maybe an S tier deck. We'll have to see. So right here, I'm running the new Otama. The 1 cost Otama on the board is a 1 cost 2,000 counter, 0 power 2K counter, top 5 search for Land of Wano. I'm running the Momonosuke Searcher. I've got Ryuma's. He bounces my Momonosuke back to my hand, but that's not a problem for me, so I do take this out aggressively. And by the way, another deck that is very strong in OP-07 is this Doffy we're playing against. You will see this game is a nail biter. Let me make sure it's on 2x speed because this is a long game. Okay, so right here, I'm going to see what kind of cards he's going to give me. I want to get some... So one big thing you need to work on if you're a newer player is attacking into the board just to get a response from your opponent with bare minimum investment. So I attached 2 Dawn and attacked twice into a character, got a counter, and then got rid of him in the second one. Right here, I do a search with Momonosuke. I'm adjusting my cards there. And now I'm just going to pass the turn back. I would have liked to have done a You Can Be My Samurai. Guys, You Can Be My Samurai is a 1 cost green event that says rest 2 of your characters, draw 2 cards for 1 cost. Absolutely incredible. And you're going to see me use that in this game. So here he's swinging 7 into 5. He has swung 7 into 5 every turn. And this new version of Doffy just runs nothing but 7 Warlords of the Sea characters that cost 4 or less. So you can just blindly use his effect and you're going to get a card from the top. That's another card that or another deck that I want to mess around with soon to see what I can do with it. So right there, I swing 5 into his Jinbei, I get a card out of his hand. So right here, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to swing 7 into Jinbei, see what I can get. And he's actually, this guy is starting to smell blood in the water. Like, okay, I've got this, I've got this Perona player in trouble. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and do, you can be my samurai. You can even rest a new character that just came into play. Then I'm going to do a top search with Momonosuke. I'm going to play out the Otama. Had to get the Hiyori. I couldn't get any better target. And I'm starting to fix my hand. I'm filling up the board. I'm starting to do a lot of things. A lot of things are happening. I'm sifting through my deck. I'm, basically getting all the cards that I need to win this game. I'm trying to cycle through and all that. And I'm presenting a lot of threats on the board. So right here, Doffy swings in for 7, plays out the 3-cost Doffy from the top of his deck. And remember, this is the first time he is setting the top of his deck. I believe so, if I remember correctly. So everything up to this point, he has just been blindly doing, and it's just been straight value. And it's a really cool idea. The 7 Warlords of the Sea Doflamingo deck in OP-07 seems very, very strong. I'm up against the ropes, to be completely honest with y'all. Now, I do need to start attacking into his board, seeing what I can get rid of, see what kind of cards he's going to give me from hand. So again, right here, he's like, I need to keep the pressure on. And watch this, guys. So swing 7 here. Aggressively counters out of that, guys. Very aggressively counters out of that. So now I have to get rid of one of these characters, or I'm basically done for. And I really need to get rid of one of them and establish a blocker. So right here, you can be my samurai, draw 2 cards. That card is absolutely incredible, and it gives you additional value from your 1-cost searchers and your 1-cost Surus in a deck like this. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I KO one of his guys, like I said, with Ryuma, and then I play out my Borsellino. Ryuma and Perona are a match made in heaven. Guys, don't forget what Perona does. It can rest a 4-cost character. Okay? So as soon as they play it, you can rest it before they even get to attack with it, and then Ryuma KOs a 4-cost or lower rested character. And he's a 4-cost 6K, and that's an on-play and on-KO. So he bashes in for 10. He forces me to use my blocker. But guess what? He has no cards in hand. I'm going to rest his guy and attack everything into him. And now he is just up against the ropes. So right here, I'm trying to do a little bit of math, make sure I do this correctly. I use Momo first here. You Can Be My Samurai. And I do that because I want to get some blockers on the board. And I want to do some searching. So this one wasn't the greatest search, but that's right. I'm still sifting through my deck and getting to better cards. So I'll swing 6 into his guy here, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to swing into him, so I just used You Can Be My Samurai because I want him to stay in top deck mode, right? Because whatever he plays from his leader's effect, I can swing straight into because he comes in and play rested. Whatever he plays from his hand is going to be a 4-cost or less because that's the way this deck is built. So I can rest it with my leader and KO it. So he is just in full on. Okay, so let me pause it. He just quits out there. I was actually going to use all that crappy counter in my hand there just to get it out of my hand. Because I have a bunch. I don't have any 2Ks, by the way. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1Ks in my hand that I just don't need anymore. Because I have full board control. So I was going to counter out of that aggressively. So that way I could keep my blocker on the board, eat up his board, and then next turn probably establish another Gecko Moria and snag back another Borsellino for my trash or whatever I needed. Or I could even have done some cycling with a Nupe. This deck, guys, is one to look out for in the future for OP-07. If you like Black-Green Perona, I think you're going to be in good shape. The deck looks very solid. Okay, that's it for that. Let me go over to the decks real quick. Okay, so first up was Hannyabal. Let me move my head real quick, move my face. So this is the Hannyabal list that I was using in the video. This new Inazuma card from EB-01 is actually outstanding. I've mentioned it a few times in my last few videos. I didn't get to use it in the game we just saw, but think about it. If you're trashing cards from hand and like doing things to just aggressively counter out of hand and stuff like that, so that way you can get lower in your cards in hand. However you want to say that. Sorry guys. This card just lets you start refreshing your hand. Same thing with Emporio Ivankov. It just lets you start refreshing your hand and refreshing your hand. I think currently the best version of this deck is running the Sadie plus Jailer Beast combos, because now we even have, in EB-01, we have Mino Chihuahua, which is a 4-cost 5K rusher. And remember, with all of these on KOs, if your leader is impelled down, you get to gain a Dawn. You get to ramp a Dawn, except this guy, Mino Rhinoceros, is an on KO. If your leader has impelled down, draw 2, trash 1. So just absolutely incredible. And then the big finisher I'm using this deck is Kaido. It just lines up well, and it's a good way to get rid of Dawn, because it starts feeling wasteful. Like, the leader's effect starts to feel wasteful when you can't ramp back your Dawn. And like you guys saw, Magellan in this deck is actually very, very strong. It's quite the nuisance, guys. It's quite the nuisance, because what it does is it hits them for their Dawn, and then you can just return the guy at the end of your turn, and then you go back up to your Dawn like you didn't lose any. There's definitely some cards to include back in, or to improve in this list, like maybe Blast Breath or something like that. But one thing I did want to mention is I'm not running Hannibal the Searcher. Is it like that? Let me see how they spell it. Yeah, this is it. This only searches purple Impel Down cards, so I can't even grab my blue stuff up here. And then likewise, the same thing with Buggy. He can only search the blue Impel Down cards. So honestly, if I were to run any of them, I would probably be running the Buggy to search for my stronger, my bigger late game characters. But it just feels awful. I'm not gonna lie. It feels awful that I can't search for like either of my Impel Down cards. I have to choose one. And who knows? Maybe in the future, maybe there will be like a majority purple version. Like, technically, I think the version I'm running right here is majority purple, but it'll be like even more purple in the future, and then you'd want to run Hannibal. But otherwise, if there's like an all blue version we can mess with, then maybe Buggy gets better. We'll have to see about that. Interesting stuff there. Not my favorite leader. I'm going to be honest. Like, this effect is not my favorite. Returning a 2-cost or greater Impel Down card to ramp a Dawn, because that doesn't have any synergy with like something that you can generate insane amounts of value from, like your Buggy and like your Hannibal. And I understand they did that for a reason, but at the same time, would that have really broken it? You know what I mean? Like, we see what some of these other decks are doing. Like, we just watched Black Green Perona. That's like playing out an Otama, a 0-cost Otama that can do a top 5 search. It's a 2K counter. It does a top 5 search, and then later we can tap it to draw 2 with Be My Samurai. Like, I just don't know if... I don't know. I'm not going to comment too much more on it. I don't want to ramble for too long. I'm not a huge fan of this list, and I think it does need improvement, but it did show some signs. It did show some signs of, like, potential. Okay, next up is the red-green Law list that I'm running. And, of course, I'll have all this timestamped, in the comment section below, or in the description so that it puts it in the video. Red-green Trafalgar Law here. This is back from OP-01, but it did get some brand new toys. Guys, don't forget, Kid and Killer is Supernova searchable, okay? So we can snag that with our Bonnies, guys. We can snag Kid and Killer with our Bonnie. Now Bonnie can snag basically anything we need, and there might be some reasoning to go fully into Supernovas in the future. Like, more, I mean, like, I don't know, Nami's still good because it can still hit Zoro, it can still hit Luffy, it can still hit, like, a lot of this other stuff. It can hit Brook, it can hit the new Zoro. This is the new Zoro, by the way, from OP-07. 1 cost, 2K counter plus 1,000, when attacking plus 2 for the turn. So that stacks, guys. That is not a once per turn action. This will probably also be decent in the new, in blue-green Zoro and Sanji, ST12. But we'll have to see. I feel like the volume got so high in my music. Sorry, guys, if it's too loud. But yeah, the stand-up Law with, number 1 with Cavendish. This is also not a once per turn, but also with this Zoro, just incredible. So this card just goes absolutely wild in the new set, because you can hit Kid and Killer with this, Cavendish, the new Zoro card. You could always hit Luffy and Zoro, these ones. You can also hit this one. This guy just gets a lot of value, and there might be some kind of, like, I don't know. I think going forward, y'all hear me out, guys. Y'all hear me out. But I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Dadan goes out of the list, and then you just make room for more Supernova stuff and just use your Namis and your Jewelry Bonnies. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not like a red-green Law expert or anything. I understand how good Dadan is. But guys, currently, this list is a lot of fun, and it is super aggressive. I've been really digging the aggressive decks lately. I think because I've been playing so much control and combo decks, it's been nice, getting to mess with other, getting to play the whole game, try other decks in the game and whatnot. And then last but not least, we got black-green, we got Perona, whereas, okay, this is just the list I'm running. This is not like the perfected list or anything like that, but just to explain how strong this deck is, guys, Otama in conjunction with Suru, by the way, because remember, your leader can rest a 4 or less, so you can hit a 6 or less by playing out Suru, and then later in the game, you still are going to be able to generate value from your Suru by tapping her down with You Can Be My Samurai. that does a multitude of things. Because remember, filling out the board with like Otamas and Surus, that is massive. It's more massive than you might think, because what it allows you to do is tricks with Gecko Moria as well. Because say you have a full board, say you have like an Otama, a Suru, a Ryuma, and like, I don't know, like a Borsalino on the board. Well, that's 4 characters, right? Well, like from there, you'll be able to like play out your Gecko Moria and push these cards around, and like it doesn't do as much craziness, I think, as like in the black-yellow, as it does in the black-yellow Luffy deck, but it allows for a lot of crazy stuff. And with Stussy, you're also going to be able to pop these little small characters that don't mean anything to you, that have already used their value up, to pop characters later in the game. And this is another OP-07 card, guys. Place one of your characters into the trash. So on play, place one of your characters into the trash and KO one of your opponent's characters. No cost restriction. So you're playing out a 9 cost 9k and you're KOing a 10 or less. You're KOing anything in the game that can be KO'd. It's running Sabos. It's running Borsalinos for protection. It's running this new Hiyori card. This is coming out in EB-01. This is a 4 cost 0 power 1k counter. Activate main. You may place this card into your trash and place up to 1 cost 5 or less land a Wano type character other than Hiyori from your hand into play, and then draw a card. So you're trying to, this is the optimal target to cheat into play, this guy here. So for 4 costs, you're playing out a 5 cost 7k, and you're drawing a card, replacing it, and cycling, you know, cycling through your deck. Inupe cycle, Sabo cycle, Otama draw cards, Momonosuke draws cards, Hiyori draws cards, Be My Samurai draw cards, recursion from your trash with Gecko Moria. Guys, the deck just goes absolutely crazy, and it feels like a lot of fun to play. It's a lot of fun to play. Let me say it like that. Also, the one-legged toy soldier, also very, very solid with the new Hiyori effect, right? Because think of it like this. Let's just say you play out Gecko Moria, right? And you get back, and let's say you have a Ryuma in hand, because you do have to play this card from your hand, the Hiyori. So let's just say you have like I said, you play out Gecko Moria, you have Ryuma in hand already. Grab back a one-legged toy soldier and a Hiyori. Use the one-legged toy soldier to -3 to their character. Now your Perona will be able to hit a 7 or less, you know, rest down a 7 or less, and then you pop the Hiyori here to play out the Ryuma to KO that 7 or less. Just absolutely incredible potential there. Or if you have a Tendon turn and do everything I just said, but play out a one-legged toy soldier first to -3, and then bring it back with Gecko Moria to -3 again, you'll be able to rest a 10 and pop a 10 with that same exact interaction I just said. Absolutely insane. One more thing I want to mention too is you could, if you have a 5-Don turn and say you have an Otama or a Suru in play already, and you play out Hiyori, well, guess what? Before you crack this card to play out a 5 or less land a Wano card and draw a card, you can actually just rest her with You Can Be My Samurai and whatever other card I was saying you had on the board to draw 2, then crack her, play out the Ryuma, KOing their character and drawing a card again. Just absolutely incredible, guys. This deck has a lot of potential. All right, that's about it, guys. You know, the OP-07 is looking like a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what the results are going to be over in the East when they first come out. So, guys, I got my Patreon page here. Big thanks to all my patrons who support me on Patreon or make donations or, you know, become members on YouTube. Big thanks to you guys. Y'all are amazing. The list has grown. I started doing this yesterday, guys. Yesterday, when we hit 5,000 subs, I started doing this Patreon page. And these are the people that just hopped in and said, hey, we want to support the page. I appreciate you guys so much. Mike, he's a local. Mike, I appreciate you, bud. Tropical Bobcat, Van Buren, Optimistic Prime, Brian helped me out in the stream as well. He had donated when I streamed that tournament, and of course we had Asian Baka from the first one. You guys are incredible. I appreciate y'all so much. You know, I appreciate everybody, and you know, I appreciate whether you're a viewer or donating. You guys are incredible. Right, guys. Until next time, please do not forget to like and subscribe if you have not already. And if you guys got any comments, questions, suggestions, you guys know I love answering those. I try to answer them as soon as possible, too, whenever y'all put them down there. All right, hope y'all enjoyed. Until next time, guys. Peace.